Computer games have captured the soul of a generation. For the first time in history, we can create a new and more thrilling version of life. You can be a soldier, a superhero, a super vixen, or a mythical warrior. You are master of the universe. Computer games are a force of darkness and light. From fighting wars to spreading propaganda and mayhem, they are a crucial part of our future. And whether you play them or not, computer games are going to change your life.
Today, everybody's talking about virtual reality. But I think, frankly, that virtual reality is a rather miserable idea. It simply means let us reproduce in an artificial digital medium our experience of reality. I think that a much more interesting notion, crucial to understand what goes on today, is the opposite. Not virtual reality, but the reality of the virtual. That is to say, reality, by this I mean efficacy, effectiveness, real effects produced, generated by something which does not yet fully exist, which is not yet fully actual. In what sense can we talk about this? Oh, in many, maybe even too many senses.
The game industry's biggest hitmaker is Will Wright. He's the creator of the most popular game in history, The Sims, a game where players create a new and better version of real life.
I think if I imagine games and the impact they've had on our culture, I think probably the biggest impact is that the way kids learn, especially about complex things, rather than pick up a book and start learning theories, they actually can be thrown into these complex environments and they will just kind of randomly start mashing buttons and looking at the results. And I think that way of relating to the world is kind of very different than the generation that preceded them.
By any definition, a virtual world is a representation of reality that doesn't really exist. It could be a location created digitally for a movie, or it could be a place where researchers conduct experiments on human behavior. But perhaps the most well-known versions of virtual worlds are the ones you find on the internet.
Our fundamental delusion today is not to believe in what is only a fiction, to take fictions too seriously. It's on the contrary, not to take fictions seriously enough. You think it's just the game, it's a reality. It's more real than it appears to you. For example, people who play video games, they adopt a screen persona of a sadist, rapist, whatever. The idea is, in reality, I'm a weak person, so in order to supplement my real-life weakness, I adopt their false image of a strong, sexually promiscuous person, and so on and so on. But, so, this would be the naive reading. I want to appear stronger, more active, because in real life I'm a weak person. But what if we read it in the opposite way? That this strong, brutal, rapist, whatever identity is my true self, in the sense that this is the psychic truth of myself, and that in real life, because of social constraints and so on, I am not able to enact it. So that precisely because I think it's only a game, it's only a persona, a self-image I adopt in virtual space, I can be there much more truthful. I can enact there an identity which is much closer to my true self. We need the excuse of a fiction to stage what we truly are.
What we have in the digital generation is a new sort of sense that they're able to change the image on the screen. They're able to communicate through the image on the screen. They're able to express themselves through the image on the screen.
That's what makes the online game community so vibrant, is that people don't all play for the same reasons. and that you've got, hundreds and thousands of players in World of Warcraft, millions of players in World of Warcraft, and there's some who are just there for the hack and slash, there's some who are there just to stay in touch with their friends, there's some who just wants to know how the story ends at the end of the quest, and there's some who are incredibly competitive players. But what makes those worlds so vibrant is that you have all these people with very different motivations trying to work together. And I think, one of the themes that we've kind of drawn out here is that what's interesting about Second Life and games like World of Warcraft is that we're kind of seeing, an emergence of new forms of collaboration. People, understanding, working across cultures, working across time zones, working across age groups. Because in World of Warcraft, your typical age group in a 5-person group, there's a teenager, there's a stay-at-home mom, a war veteran, someone who's a CEO, a college professor, and they're working together in a 5-person group for 3 hours at a stretch. And that doesn't happen in the real world. There's no social institution in the real world that lets that happen. There's no institution in the real world that lets a teenager lead a guild of 50 adults.
Games to me have always represented kind of the playful side of life. In fact, I think play and games are both aspects of education. And I really enjoy learning things. And so I think our culture has kind of disconnected the idea of play from education, as play is this disposable, meaningless thing. In fact, play is one of the most meaningful activities that we can engage in.
You'll see all around the country, kids will go to bed early when they're frustrated with a homework problem, and they'll stay up late when they're interested in a level in a game. They will put more energy into it because the game rewards their engagement with it, because there's a sense of accomplishment built into the game over time.
We've grown up believing that what most of us want to do for entertainment is passively consume things. That the way to have fun is to sit back and absorb something where you have it has no interaction whatsoever. We think that's because we've come to think, I think, that that's people's personalities, but I don't think that's true. I think that it's because technology has, for the last, say, 50 years in media, only allowed us to deliver experiences of the sort where we had to sit and just listen to them.
This is your last chance. After this, there is no turning back. You take the blue pill, the story ends. You wake up in your bed and believe whatever you want to believe. You take the red pill, you stay in Wonderland, and I show you how deep the rabbit hole goes.
But the choice between the blue and the red pill is not really a choice between illusion and reality. Of course, Matrix is a machine for fictions, but these are fictions which already structure our reality. If you take away from our reality the symbolic fictions that regulate it, you lose reality itself. I want a third pill. So what is the third pill? Definitely not some kind of transcendental pill which enables a fake fast food religious experience, but a pill that would enable me to perceive not the reality behind the illusion, but the reality in illusion itself. If something gets too traumatic, too violent, even too filled in with enjoyment, it shatters the coordinates of our reality. We have to fictionalize it.